I'm Glenn Hammond Curtis, and I'm one of the many men who is responsible for the invention or the perfection of aviation. To fly in an airplane feels like the very beginning of a motorcycle crash. The moment of impact, the front tire hits a wall. You leave the seat, and you're airborne for just a few seconds. But if by some magic you could take those few seconds and spread them out a bit, then you'd have flight. We like to believe that there's one man or a group of men that said, here's the plane, and delivered it like a package, but in reality there were many men across the country, each contributing a little bit and trying to make this one thing happen. The birds invented flight. The Wright brothers made a contribution. I myself made a contribution. Men in France working on dirigibles made a contribution. And this was happening like a little storm all at the same time. Separate storms. Sometimes we came together, sometimes we didn't. I didn't need to be the first man in the air. I prefer to be on the ground. I prefer a motorcycle. I prefer wheels on the earth. And I had my business, Curtis Engines. And this is only speculation, but I feel as though perhaps the Wright brothers were compelled to work inwards because this is what they had. They felt destined to be the first in flight. I was fascinated. I was compelled, but I didn't feel that it was my purpose on Earth. I would have preferred collaboration, but if I were to choose a rival, I would have preferred a more straightforward fight. During this never-ending court battle, I was not only bleeding out, but the entire aviation industry, or moreover the idea of aviation, was stopped. There was no speed, there was no momentum, there was no moving forward until the Wright brothers got their way, and their way was stayed. It was not flexible. There was no movement. We were up against a wall until we could somehow get the Wright brothers out of hiding, out of court, and allow aviation to start moving forward again. The Wright brothers were American geniuses in their way. Bell was an American genius. Tom Selfridge was an American genius. I was a contributor. And in the end, we fly. But perhaps we could have had something greater, something sooner, and something a bit more accessible if we had come together. I'd like to see the average man be able to cross America, coast to coast in an airplane. Maybe something personal in the vein of a Model T that can take to the sky. Something fast. I think an 8-cylinder should do.